Well, welcome everyone. This is the webinar on how to craft a winning personal statement. So we know this is the key essay that our students write for Common App that goes to almost all the schools that they apply to. So there's a ton of importance put on it, a lot of nuance, and frankly, a lot of pressure that gets put on this essay. So you're going to see a pretty comprehensive slide deck. It will be available inside of our website and all that to go through. It is pretty comprehensive, but if there's any questions, please put those in the chat. We might not be able to answer them in real time, but we will definitely get back to you. You can always email us at esmprep.com as well. So first off, first statement is a compelling statement. It's crucial for standing out for college and inside this application process. These slides will explore all the different pieces of the personal statement to try and capture your student's unique story and strengths. And there we go.
So I'm Renee. I am the director of essay coaches at ESM, and the personal statement is a critical component of the college application process because it allows the committees to gain a deeper understanding of the student beyond their academic credentials. So a well-crafted personal statement can help you set you apart and showcase your uniqueness. So if you think of your college applications as a package, there's the scores, the grades, the extracurriculars. Those are all the data points that are on the paper. And the personal statement is about seeing the person behind the data. And a good personal statement is not really about like what you've done necessarily, because you don't just want to restate your data points. You want to show them who you are as a person. So if we were to talk about a thesis, there's this academic understanding of a thesis that students have, which is that last sentence at the end of an introduction. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the fundamental trait that you want colleges to know about you. So when you have somebody read your personal statement and the minute you get, what words about you pop off the page? That's what we're looking for a great personal statement.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And I'm Eric. I'm a senior college coach. I missed the introductions on the start as I wanted to jump in because the personal statement's so important with my colleague Renee, who manages our essay coaches, who are wonderful writers and really help us essay coaches and college coaches craft these tremendous essays. Billy Downing, our founder, always said how a best personal statement is you are in a big family reunion. Your personal statement is just sitting on the table, it doesn't have the name on it. And when they pick it up, they're like, oh, that's Bob. Oh, that's Kevin. They know exactly who that is when they read that personal statement. So if that's what we want to shine you to shine through in that statement, which comes down to showing your authentic self. That is something that is super, super important. It really talks about who you are and not who you're not, because that's sometimes where we'll see students really trying to self promote in a way that just does not feel very authentic. And we want to focus on those passions, their values, hear a lot about values, I think are something that's really important, and highlighting who you are. And that showcases your voice, your personality, and you let that reflect inside of your writing. We want to celebrate your experiences and things that might set you apart and how you've contributed to your community. And that is what can come through on these essays and especially your personal statement when you're showing your true self.
So uniqueness, as we've said, is going to be key here. So you want to identify first what differentiates you. Think about the unique aspects of your background, your experiences, your perspective on the world that set you apart from other applicants. For example, do you have a very diverse background that's influenced your worldview? These are kind of the questions you want to be asking yourself to explore. You also want to showcase your creativity, and this involves perhaps a different approach to storytelling that will grab the reader's attention and leave a lasting impression. And you also want to explore unconventional topics. So think about the things about you that not everyone knows that could maybe help you stand out. Remember that people who are reading your essays, they're reading hundreds, and after the first 100 or so, it's going to start to blend together. So another essay about sports or music just by itself might not jump off the page. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't talk about these essays, especially if they're an authentic passion to you. You just have to find different, interesting, unique ways to tell them. So maybe, as I said, it's about breaking the structure of the typical essay. Or a tip I like to tell my students is you can combine two simple ideas. For example, if you have a hobby of shell collecting, and if you just wrote an essay topic on that, that could be like, maybe it could be in, no, it could be done, right? It's just like a hobby essay. Or if you had an essay that talked about battling perfectionism, that's definitely done as well. But if you try to combine these two simple ideas, and combine it into a thesis that's like, I'm a perfectionist who's learned balance through my hobby, shell collecting, then that becomes more engaging.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of this, it sometimes is found very intimidating by students. We're talking about storytelling and imagery and your authentic self. Remember, you're going to see, I think we dedicate almost 33% of this presentation on editing and revising and looking how to make each line a little bit better. So it comes through drafts and edits and going through those little pieces, but that creativity can come out from that. And I love the essays, like what Renee says, that are come from kind of maybe a boring standpoint, but then bring this perspective that is so unique and interesting and in the voice of the student and how they are. I think of one of my favorite personal statements was about a girl who was with an FFA and learning to train pigs, and she was a very bubbly personality, and her essay was a very bubbly, happy, fun, interesting, funny essay, and it really showed who she was. It wasn't this huge challenge essay, which you'll see a little bit. Really finding their own voice, I think is something that's really, really important. I think that's where the creativity can come from too. This comes from that don't show we want to show these readers, not just tell them. So oftentimes high school writers will lay out a story that's just telling the reader what went on, not giving that imagery. And parents can help a lot with this. And obviously, our essay coaches do wonderful things with this of reflection and showcasing your experiences and engaging that reader, especially early on in that statement. So the first couple lines of really getting that reader to want to read more. And it doesn't have to be that it's coming from always a negative place. I push this quite a bit with my students is that sometimes kids go, I don't have this big story to tell. Well, take one of those little details like shell collection, like Renee said, and pull in different values or different things, show your growth and demonstrate how like experiences have shaped you to who you are and what you're going to be because these are colleges, they want to see what you're going to grow into. So I think one of those big things is showing these readers, not tell. And again, this is going to come through that editing process.
So the key to crafting a captivating narrative is to draw the reader in. As Eric mentioned, you want to draw them in from as close to the top as possible. And this is a word we all know, the hook. We want to start that immediately. And if you think about movies or TV shows that entice you from the get-go, that is the energy that you want to try to bring into your essay. So in these TV shows and movies, think of your favorite. They might drop you off straight into the action in the first episode, or they drop you off straight into the typical day of the life of the character right before the big event happens. So think of these creative ways to get your story out there. Next, then the following steps in the editing process. You want to develop your narrative in a way that guides the readers through your personal journey. And the emphasis here is going to be on the vivid details and the specific examples that are going to bring your experiences to life. Specificity is key here. I cannot emphasize this enough. I say this so much to students and to the coaches that I teach. Um, if a student is talking about something, don't just talk about, oh, like I ate this really nice meal. And then like, or I remember this really nice meal. Think about the five senses and try to utilize them. Or when you mention a memory, recall the vivid details. So the names of the important people in your life that impacted you, if that's the story you're talking about. the cultural names of the actual dishes of the food and what they tasted like, right? Like these are just examples of the kind of specificity that you're going to look for because it is inside these details that are going to automatically infuse your writing with the authentic emotion that's going to leave that impression and is going to feel authentic to the readers themselves. So as you look through in the next steps, show, don't tell, as Eric talked about, that's going to be the key. That's where the detail comes in. You want to show them what you saw, felt, thought, heard. You don't just say, I did this, and then move on. And that's going to help you just naturally convey the emotion and your personal experience with these people, memories, events. And that's what's going to differentiate you. And that's what's going to give the readers the eye into who you are.
Yeah, the five emotion, the five senses that you talked about, Renee. I think that's a really good way to explain it to a student. Of the reader needs to smell that, see that, hear that, feel that. They need to have those different pieces to it. I tell kids, like, you think of it's like when you're watching a movie and you're describing that scene, it's not gonna be plain. It's gonna have a lot of imagery into it. So using the senses, I think, is a wonderful way to help a high school writer realize how to make their sentences a little more vivid. My screen's not want to move. There we go. It's a lot of this personal statement is highlighting the things that you've done the most. So this could be your passions and experiences. And sometimes it's uncovering in these passions and things that were very, very interesting to you. It's not talking about the typical of winning the championship game, but it can be some of the experiences that you had as you are working through with your team and coaches and things like that. The growth is what these colleges want to see far more than a specific you winning the trophy. They want to see how that became highlighting some accomplishments, demonstrating dedication, your leadership, and unique abilities. These achievements can be really, really important. We have to kind of watch at other essays you might have with supplements and make sure that our personal statement isn't just uncovering everything that could be in future other essays. So think of the activities essay. If your personal statement is right with the same vein that your activities essay will be, you might want to reconsider what your personal statement's about. I think the personal statement, these meaningful experiences, things that were really important to you, things that impacted your life and how others impacted you and you impacted them. And you're going to see that word values again. Your values, you put in your experiences with your values. There's no other personal statement that could be like it. So many kids are going to write about a mission trip. They're going to write about their torn ACL. And I don't want to say these experiences are not impactful. They absolutely are. And they were very, very challenging. But when you look at a scope of millions of students, they're going to end up writing about similar things. But we focus on your values and your experiences. No other kid can have that. And that is something that can really help your personal statement stand out from others because it's not a statement that this reader has read before.
I totally agree. And I think the word that popped out for me was growth. And that perfectly transitions to what I'm going to talk about and focus on right now is make sure that you are demonstrating that personal growth and reflection in your essay. Think about the transformative experiences and the obstacles you've overcome that you can self-reflect upon in a way that shows your values, which was mentioned by Eric, your goals, and again, most importantly, your capacity for growth. This can come into, the lessons that you've learned or the meaningful insights that you got from this huge challenge that you've experienced. And that introspective analysis that is kind of what the admissions officers will care the most about because in the story of growth, that is where they learn about who you are as a person, how you show up, how you see the world, what matters to you. And again, like if you don't have like this huge obstacle you've overcome that like defines your life, that is okay. I've seen some gorgeous, gorgeous essays about topics as quote unquote mundane as a student's built-in shelf above their bed. And it's talking about how it's accumulated knickknacks and memories over the years, and how the student wants to declutter it because it started to become an eyesore over the years. And in this, there was this gorgeous essay about growth and shedding new skin and becoming an adult. And so it doesn't have to be like something big happened to you and now you're going to have to let it out and talk about it in a personal statement. There are little things in your life that mean something to you that you can use, and it will be a beautiful story because it is you and not because you think it sounds impressive to colleges and admissions officers.
That's a great point. So many students will try to impress the admissions officer with kind of their these accomplishments or things like that when the admissions officer is like, I want to know about you, not just what you did, but the actual process of becoming you. That is what's important to us. And so not getting stuck on just trying to just brag or really get into the greatness that you might be. It's really about your growth and reflection. Absolutely. I think that's a great way to put it. And a lot of students have a lot of challenges and have overcome many obstacles. This will be a very common type of personal statement. Now, your obstacle will be very different than someone else's. So, a lot of this is if you do have these challenges or have overcome an obstacle, A, kind of think about, is it unique to you? If it's a very common obstacle, then you need to take it from a different angle. You can't go through the same angle of the rehab or the getting your knee in the right place and kind of the how hard it was, because that's going to be pretty. But if you go from a different side, you can start to see that this is something that was really hard for you, but how did you grow from it and navigating the challenges that have confronted your life? And there can be. And remember, I'm going to say this before I finish the slide is if you don't have a ton of these challenges, guess what? You can write about training pigs. You can write about something that is unique to you in your authentic voice. Maybe that's not something that you're really open to wanting to share and talk about. You're not there yet. That's okay. You write your authentic essay, but navigating challenges expresses the lessons you learned and how you're going to apply these in college or at the next level of education can be really, really important to an admissions officer. These are higher education. They're looking, how are you going to make our college better? Adversity. We all face different types of adversity. So drawing on that inner strength, your creativity, problem solving, absolutely can be wonderful things that you're writing about. And oftentimes, turning setbacks into growth can be something that is a wonderful essay. Remember, I'm going to continue to say avoid the kind of cliche getting cut from the basketball team and trying to use the Michael Jordan story and all these things. In the end, there is definitely setbacks that happen in kids' lives that we can utilize inside of this authentic and show the growth and how you're better able to handle future challenges. And colleges love that grit that the student might have, and demonstrating that can be really, really important.
Absolutely agree. I think growth again is one of the keys that you want to hit here. And in relation to that, when you think about your personal statement and you're starting to brainstorm on the topic, you can see whether you can align your personal statement with your aspirations long term. What I mean by that, I don't mean that you need to know exactly what you want to do right now. I know that a lot of students don't know, or you might be going undecided. But if you are applying for a major, say psychology, it's important to think about how the qualities you're showing about yourself in the personal statement are going to align with that. So, I mean, if you think about the qualities of somebody who is interested in psychology, right? Maybe empathy is a portion of it. Um, think about that. It doesn't mean that it needs to be the focus of the essay. So, what I mean by that. It would be great if you could identify your long-term academic, professional, personal goals and then tied in relevant experiences, activities, and achievements that you've done in your high school career. Um, and kind of weave that in and show your commitment and passion. So that's the one hand, but it's also okay if you don't know, because as Eric said, it could be a story about, feeding pigs. And that is super unique. And when it's said in your voice, in your perspective, that's going to show colleges more about who you are and what you're interested in, how you see the world, than, oh, like now I gotta, if I'm going in psychology, now I gotta talk about that internship that I did. Um, that could be something you talk about in your personal statement. Just plan ahead and remember, as was mentioned previously, remember that you do have supplements that can be a little bit more career or academic focused. So make sure you plan ahead and we don't put that activity in the personal statement, wasting precious real estate there when you could be talking about something that is more career or internship oriented in a shorter supplement that asks about it. So don't forget, the most important thing about the personal statement is to show them who you are. And if those qualities come out and they just so happen to align anyways with your career or educational goals, that's ideal, that's amazing. But again, it can be an essay about feeding pigs, and then there's a quality that you show to admissions, like maybe it's resilience, maybe it's the ability to see things from a different perspective. That's going to show them who you are. And you want to make sure that it's multidimensional and remember that it's a part of an overall package that you are showing to admissions.
Yeah, the alignment is a really important piece and aligning with who you are. I think that's a lot of it too. And it could be your career, it could be the major. A lot of it is I have kids that will write an essay and they're kind of leaning towards a certain major. And if you read the essay, it doesn't align with what they might want to do with their major. So looking at that alignment can be really important. It doesn't have to be the personal statement's not about your major. But if you're talking about how much you are struggled in a math class and it was a challenge essay about that, which is not my recommendation, but then you're majoring in a STEM field that they're going to look at, well, is math actually really hard for you? Like that might be kind of scary to it. So alignment to your goals and your growth can be really, really important and ensure that you're aligned with who you are. That alignment is a really, really important piece. So absolutely. We'll get to the next slide. Now we're on to probably what I think is actually the most important part of writing a personal statement is beginning that editing and revising. That is the key to perfection. This is not a one draft and you're done. This is an essay that when he wants to be able to say like, I think it's an 8 to 10 draft essay. Like it is from top to bottom. I tell kids they write their first rough draft. I was like, we maybe keep 25% of it. That is on a good day. It might only be just a couple lines. That is okay. That is this editing or revising is what causes essays to get so much better because it allows you to review and reflect on specific areas in that essay that you can improve. Gives you time to seek feedback. This could be your essay coach, this could be a teacher, this could be a mentor or a peer, but overall, getting suggestions can be helpful. I will say, don't get too many cooks in the kitchen because you're going to have a lot of different opinions. And remember, you're a high school writer. You're not a professional writer. So sometimes, if someone's not around high school writing, it can be a little bit hard for them to distinguish your level of writing because it's not a writing they're used to reading. So remember those mentors. That's why our essay coaches, they work with high school writers. They know how to really develop high school writing. You can't make your essay go from a high school writer to some PhD type writing, professional level writing. It won't align. And again, that will cause the admissions officer to go, I don't know if I like this because it doesn't feel right. That's where you refine, revise, flow, reading it out loud. That is the biggest trick in the book. Take your essay and start reading it out loud. Every essay. This is for school. This is anything that you write. An email, read it out loud. I promise you, you'll be like, oh, that doesn't sound right. And it won't read right. So read it out loud. And that's when you start to polish and perfect it. Grammar and spelling. Yes, we know we have a lot of grammar and spell check type resources, but in the end, make sure it's correct for you and that it has the professional place and professional piece because We cannot submit an essay that has glaring issues when it comes to grammar or punctuation, spelling, things like that. We want to ensure that when we are submitting our personal statement, the one we spent the most time on, that it is free of errors.
Yeah, I have to agree. The editing and revising process is where all the magic and the work happens. And it is hard work, but that is where the gold comes out. So as you know, manager, director of the essay coaches, I make sure that they are all on the same page and that they're all going by the ESM way. And feedback is, as I've seen through my experience in years working with essay applications, I know that feedback is the most important part of this process. And essay coaches, writing tutors, academic advisors, they can provide the targeted feedback so that you can refine the content. You know, what is in there? Is it interesting? Is it engaging? Is it authentic? Structure. This is more, storytelling. Is it going to engage you from start to finish? And then clarity of your personal statement. And by clarity, I'm going to go back to what I said before. You want to have a thesis driven personal statement. And by that, not again, that like last sentence at the end of an introduction, not that. The clarity of your personal statement is the couple words, the sentence that when someone is done reading your personal statement, they're like, this person is resilient and blank, right? Like you need to leave them with these words and impressions. And if you haven't done that, it wasn't clear enough. But if you don't have access to these resources, you can feel free to share your drafts with multiple trusted friends, family, teachers who know you, who are, as Eric said, familiar with high school writing, and you can ask them for their honest feedback. Remember that in this process, you don't want too many cooks in the kitchen. So these may not be professional writers or tutors, but if you do see a pattern with the feedback that multiple people are presenting you, that is something that you can carefully consider, with your 2 cents, and then make the intentional revisions that will strengthen your narrative and authentically represent you in all of your uniqueness. I really cannot emphasize that enough. The personal statement is just about you and is about your voice. So as was mentioned, you don't want to sound like you're a 30-year-old, 25-year-old. You don't want to, it's not, a thesis paper for, graduate or undergraduate. It is not that. It is not your time to even impress people. It is your time to show them who you are. And that is that is a hard question, right? Because if you're gonna ask a high schooler right now, like, who are you? They would probably not be able to answer. And I mean, and that's where the feedback and the drafting and the revising, that's where the magic comes through because when you have professional writers or writer tutors who are familiar with high school writing, their specialty is to ask the guiding questions of like, oh, you wrote this in this brain dump first draft. Okay, based off of this, what was it like to be in that moment here? Why did you decide to start this nonprofit? Was there an experience that, that sparked all of this? Like the guiding questions, the open-ended questions, that is where I believe through my years of experience where the magic can really come through and the students' authentic selves can come through their actions and their thoughts and their reflections. So yeah, I think that is the main thing. Authenticity, authenticity, authenticity.
Yeah, for sure. And this is probably one of the more tricky pieces of a puzzle for a high school student is getting that feedback because it can be where you're getting three different opinions and now you really don't know where to go because you're like, wait a second, I thought I was right about me, but now people are giving me different ideas. So that's hard. It's very hard for high school students. That's what authenticity, who are you really and who are you really trying to write about? And focus in on that. I think you'll end up writing a wonderful personal statement. Proofreading for clarity, coherence, correctness, all of these things. Again, your best thing you can do, read it out loud. You will catch so much, especially on that clarity piece, is reviewing it, examining these sentences, like the structure. Make sure when you read it all the way through. And this is where, when you have a very, very good kind of where you feel pretty close to a final draft, is also a good time to bring in someone that hasn't read it yet. When you do this, do not say, I want to change anything. Give them a specific, is this sounding like a very coherent essay? Is Don't give them like opinion, because they might want to now change a whole bunch of things and you thought you were near done. So this is picking out those feedback people are really, really important. But that's where it's organized. It has that thesis that Renee was talking about, that it comes back to who you are and guides the reader through something that is really, really interesting. So it's proofreading, editing, proofreading, feedback. All of those little pieces are so important.
Awesome. So, submitting the polished and impactful personal statement. So, after revising and perfecting your personal statement, then you have to submit the masterpiece. So, you want to make sure that your statement is tailored to a specific college. What I mean by that is, when you're looking at your supplements and um, make sure that the qualities you want to get out there are multidimensional, unique to every little essay that's part of your package. And it is going to be what you feel like you want the colleges to know about you. That is where you want to showcase. That doesn't mean that your personal statement is going to mention the college, because as we said at the top, the personal statement is sent to every college that accepts the personal statement in the Common App. So it's not about name calling. It is more just about how you want to showcase yourself and make sure everything is aligned, right? As a summary, that if you're going to be going into STEM, that you're not talking about like struggling in pre-calc or calculus, right? That you want to make sure that the puzzle pieces are fitting together. And again, double checking everything at the end is going to be key, right? Like the whole application, there's a lot of stuff that you need to be aware of. And you just want to make sure, hey, when you're copying and pasting, getting things over into the app, that there are no inconsistencies, that, there isn't a random like paragraph break that should have been there that wasn't in there. And this is where you can get extra eyes. This is where having a counselor really helps, because it is this one time you click that button and it goes out and there is no fixing it. So make sure you get extra sets of eyes on this before you submit it, because that is your chance. That is your chance to show colleges who you are, apart from the numbers, the data points, the things that you've done that are going to already be in the application in the activities section. This is the part where you show them how you think, how you feel, how you show up in the world, all of these qualities and values that matter to you the most. So you do not want to mess it up at the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really important, and a lot of it, we're talking about the polishing inside a Common App. Use the preview. Make sure that you print it out, and because the formatting in Common App is a pain. If you copy from a Google Doc, it's going to make it bold, and sometimes the spacing and how the paragraphs won't look right. So use the preview function to make sure that it looks right. So not only that it's polished coming off the Google Doc, but that once you do put it into Common App, that the formatting looks great too, because Common App makes that a little bit fun. But overall, that can really make sure that you are submitting that essay that you're really proud of and that you really are excited to send to colleges, because that's really the important piece of the puzzle. Well, and I want to thank you for sitting with us. This was on how to craft, how to think about the key pieces that are really, really important for the personal statement, and how can you help your child or help you students continue to push deeper into your authentic self and create an essay that you're going to be proud of, because that's the coolest part of this whole process, is at the end when you feel like, you know what, this essay is the best essay I ever wrote. And we usually get that from a personal statement because it's usually the essay you spent the most time on. So that is really, really fun. We go like, I love this essay. And then people around you go, this is an amazing essay. It's a really, really good feeling. So it's worth the effort, 100%. So overall, Renee, thank you for your endless experience and understanding of how to navigate kids through this. I know that you and your team are about ready to go through the gauntlet of hundreds of essays and hundreds of applications. So we appreciate you and your expertise. Any final thoughts that you might have for our teens and our parents that might be watching this or watching this at a later time?
Yeah, my final thought here is as you said, this is usually like the best essay that students have written. That's what they say. The other thing that they should be saying is, this is so me. When somebody else reads it, when you read the essay, when their friends read the essay, they should be like, wow, this is so you. That is what is a really good, compelling personal statement. That is when we've done the job correctly. When it is, there's no other person could have written this essay than this person. And that is a question and a tip I like to, ask my students and my coaches while we're going through the process, writing as well. Um, could anybody have written this? Could anyone have been like, yeah, like, I, I, I really, this club was super impactful to me. This experience was really impactful to me. Could anybody have written that sentence? And if the answer is yes, then you need to start thinking of ways to specify it, make it more tailored to your values and the experiences that you saw and the things that matter to you. Because if anyone could have said that sentence, it is not unique enough. And that, I think that is the takeaway when, want all students and parents to come out with, is that it is an essay about uniqueness. They want to see the student behind all of the numbers. And if that means something mundane, that is okay. It is not about impressing people. It is about showing them who they are inside, how they think, what they value, how they view the world. And if you can get out there and read it and say, yeah, that is so me, that is a job well done.
Absolutely. We did have a question. The Common App essay prompts are out. They are available. I will say I generally rarely have a student write to a prompt. Usually we create the statement and then match the prompt that the statement was written about versus writing directly to a prompt. Some kids, they kind of want to have that prompt and guide it within that. The prompts are out. They are available. But overall, you don't have to feel like you have to write to a prompt when it comes to personal statement because it is about the kid and their journey. And I've yet to have a personal statement that did not align. And usually the last one is write about topic of your choosing. So overall, it can be just about anything that you want it to be about. So overall, prompts they're out, but let your kid write or you write about what you might want to write about because it'll align with any of the prompts. So overall, well, thank you everyone. If you do have any further questions, don't hesitate to get us in contact. Visit us on our website, esmprep.com. And we look forward to as we hit this application season and essay writing season. Feels like we just ended. And here we go. We're going to get ready to launch and then do the next one. So thank you, Renee. Thank you, everyone. Hope everyone has a wonderful week. See you later.